Up until this point in the semester, we've talked about leadership and personality. Now we're going to start talking about how do you really, truly get someone motivated on your team, someone that works for you, or even maybe yourself. So what is motivation? Motivation is considered a psychological process that causes direction, intensity, and persistence of voluntary actions that are goal-directed. So notice those three dimensions. Direction, it gives us something to shoot at, something to target, something to aim for. Intensity, this is talking about effort, how hard we work for something. And persistence, how do we stick at it and keep trying and trying and trying. And notice there is this kind of component of goals in there as well. So this is a very standard definition of motivation. And all the approaches to motivation, we're going to be talking about how do you provide that direction, how do you provide that intensity and that persistence. So people really work very hard for you. Now, what affects motivation? There are all kinds of different things. And in fact, in the past, I've taught an entire semester just on this topic. Here we're doing it just in a couple class periods. But what affects motivation? Well, it could be individual differences, things like your personality, things like we talked about earlier in the semester. They can affect your personality. They can affect your motivation. How your cognitions, your attitudes and values, they affect your motivation as well. The situation has a huge impact on motivation. How the work is, the working conditions, group influences, and the organizational context can have a big influence on motivation as well. Things like what are the resources you have available? How are the pay systems set up? What's the performance appraisal system like? These are all kinds of things that affect motivation. And we're going to be talking about all of these. Now, there's one thing we need to talk about before we focus on different motivational approaches. And that is the critical distinction between motivation and performance. Now, what is different about them? Many people would argue that they are the same thing, when in fact they are not. Poor performance does not equal a lack of motivation. And this is one of the biggest mistakes that managers make. They see a poor performing employee and they go, this person's lazy, they're not motivated, they're just not working hard enough. And yes, that may be true. But that's not necessarily true because performance is a function of motivation, which things we're going to be talking about today in the next few days, ability, and the environment. It's not just motivation. And notice if any of those things are missing, you get no performance. And so when we think about why someone's performing the way they are, whether it's performing well or performing poorly, one component is motivation. And when you're thinking about and you're evaluating someone's performance, you want to know, is it motivation? If it is a motivational problem, the things we're talking about today can solve it. Is it an ability problem? Maybe they're super motivated, but they don't have the skills to be successful. So maybe some kind of coaching or training or mentoring can help this person be more successful. So imagine if it's an ability problem, and we as the manager come at them with a motivational solution. That person is going to be upset. They're not going to get it because they're already motivated. What they need help is with their skills. And also, what if it's an environmental problem? Maybe even you. Maybe you're too demanding or you're too involved, that sort of thing. Or maybe I'm a salesperson and I have the motivation. I have the skills to be a great salesperson. But my environment, my sales territory is terrible. There's a big recession happening in my particular area in that territory. Because of that, no one's buying anything. If my manager says, you're just not motivated, that's going to upset me. I might even look elsewhere because I am motivated. I do have the ability. It's the environmental problem that's causing the performance. And so we as managers, we as leaders, when we're thinking about why someone's performing that way, a certain way, we have to look at the motivational factors, the ability factors, and the environment factors. And if we find out it is a motivational problem, the things we're talking about now are the things that you can do to fix it. So these are different types of motivational theories. It all started with need theories. But we also have cognitive theories, behavioral theories, job design, social influence. We'll talk about all of these except need theories. And the reason being is need theories are very, very old, and they've kind of been integrated in all these other kind of approaches. And so I'm trying to focus on things that you can actually use and start working on right now in your careers, in your part-time jobs, in your teams, in your classes. So you're ready to use these when you get out there. And so I'm going to start with some ones that are more practical for you. So the first one is Vroom's expectancy theory. And it has these three components. Expectancy. Will I succeed at the task? And so I look at something and I say, can I do this? Can I be successful at it? Instrumentality is, will I be rewarded for succeeding? If I am successful in completing this task, will I be rewarded? And then valiance is, do I want the reward? Do I value it? And so notice valiance is in part determined by your needs that you have. So let me give you an example of this. Let's say that I'm working at McDonald's. And right now I am a burger flipper. I just flip burgers all day. And let's assume for a second that maybe I do 20 burgers an hour. My manager is taking a class at NIU, and he or she comes back and says, I got this great idea. If you can flip 40 burgers an hour, I will give you a 1 penny raise. So according to me, I first think about expectancy. Can I do the job? Can I flip 40 burgers an hour? Well, it's possible. It's possible I could do that, but it'd be very difficult. So I'm not so sure about that. Instrumentality. Will I be rewarded for succeeding? Well, my boss says he or she will give me a penny raise if I do this. So yes, I will be rewarded for succeeding. But do I want the reward? Do I value a penny raise? So my valence probably is not too strong there because it's 1 penny. And how this theory works is you look at the motivational force. And again, it's a multiplicative theory. So it's valence times instrumentality times expectancy. So if we think back to the McDonald's example I just gave, my expectancy, notice, can go from 0 to 1. So academics, they have to be fancy and they look at this probability issue of 0 to 1. Let's just make it simple. We can say, can I do it or not? Yes or no? 0 or 1. Let's just make it simple. And so in that McDonald's example, can I flip 40 burgers an hour? That's pretty tough. That's doubling what I already do. I'm going to give it a 0. If this was a pure academic exercise, I might say I give it a probability of 0.32 or something like that. But we're going to keep it simple, 0 or 1. So expectancy, 0. Notice if any of these fall to 0, you get no motivation. Motivation goes away. So I'm already in trouble. So let's assume the boss instead says, can you flip 25 burgers an hour? I currently do 20. He says, or she says, can I do 25? Definitely. I can definitely flip 25 burgers an hour. And so my expectancy would be 1. Instrumentality. The boss says, I'll get a penny raise if I can do 25 burgers an hour. Will I be rewarded for succeeding? Instrumentality is 0 to 1. Again, we'll just say 0 or 1. It will definitely be a 1. I will be rewarded. My boss says so. I believe him or her. I will be rewarded. So I got a 1 here. I have a 1 here. Now we go to valence. Valence can be a -1 to a +1. So we'll just keep it simple and say it could be -1, 0, or 1. And for valence, the question is, do I value the reward? In this case, do I value a penny raise? In this case, it is definitely a 0. I could care less about a penny raise. And because this is a 0, even though this is a 1 and a 1, what I get for motivation is a 0. I am not motivated. And so we have to make sure we have all of these components, expectancy, instrumentality, and valence, above 0 if we want to have motivation. So let's look at this example. So you have Cheryl, who is the CEO of a small business, and she's offering a prize of an all-expense-paid weekend for 2 to Las Vegas to the best salesperson at the end of the year. Sue has a solid track record of high sales performance, really wants to take her new husband to Vegas. However, she's not quite sure what criteria Cheryl's going to use in selecting the best salesperson. She kind of thinks that Cheryl's going to choose Tom because Tom is a good salesperson in his own right, but he's also the CEO's frequent golfing partner, a real good buddy. So let's figure this out according to expectancy theory. Now that we've read about Sue, let's figure out, is she motivating according to Vroom's expectancy theory? And if she's not, what can we do to fix it? So the first thing we start with is expectancy. Expectancy, again, is can I be successful at the task? And again, it's a probability of 0 to 1. But again, to keep it simple, we'll say 0 or 1. So can Sue be successful at this sales? And there is no doubt that she can. It says she's a very good salesperson. If she puts the effort in, she could definitely be successful. So we'll say expectancy is a 1, no doubt about it. Then we have instrumentality. Instrumentality is, if I am successful, will I be rewarded for it? Instrumentality is also a probability of 0 to 1. So let's think about this for Sue. If she is successful, will she be rewarded with the trip to Vegas? And the answer is, I don't know. So we can give it a 0. We don't know if we don't know if the best salesperson is the one that sells the most product, creates the most revenue, or is the best golfing partner for the CEO. We don't know. And because of that, that's 0. Then we have to figure out the valence. The valence is, do I value the reward? Again, this is a negative probability to a positive probability, negative 1 to 1. In this case, we can say, yes, it is a 1. We want to go to Vegas. It says in there that Sue wants to take her husband to Vegas. So if we figure out our motivation, we got a 1, we got a 0, and we got a 1. That equals a motivational force of 0. We have no motivation. Sue is not going to be motivated to put in the extra effort because of the sales contest. The sales contest is a complete waste of money for Cheryl, the CEO. So what can Cheryl do? Well, since we have a problem here with instrumentality, what she needs to do is to fix that problem. And that is to make sure that the criteria for selecting the best salesperson is very clear. What is it? Is it dollars generated? Is it new leads developed? What is it that is the criteria for selecting the best salesperson? If she can move that even up a little bit from 0, we have motivation. And Sue will be motivated to try and put a little bit more effort in. So the practical implications of this, we have to clearly define the expectations for our employees and our teammates. They have to know what's expected of them. We have to make the outcomes that we offer valuable to them. We have to make the work doable. Again, if it's not doable, expectancy breaks down. It's like, I can't do this. Why even try? We have to provide feedback on how they're doing. And it either is you providing feedback on how they're doing, or the job itself has to provide feedback on how they're doing. And importantly, if the employees meet the expectations, they need to be reinforced. They need to be rewarded. In other words, this is the instrumentality component. So that has to be there. Then we have self-efficacy, one of my favorite kind of motivational approaches. And this is the person's belief about, can I be successful at a specific task? So this is task-specific self-confidence. We're not talking about general self-confidence here. We're talking about task-specific confidence. And so, for example, I play the guitar. And so if you ask me to learn a song on the guitar, I have a fairly high self-efficacy that I can successfully learn how to play the song you're asking me to do it. I do not play the piano. And so if you said, can you learn this song on the piano? I would have a very low self-efficacy because I don't know how to do it. And so because of that, I wouldn't be motivated. Self-efficacy is kind of like a valve that opens up performance. If you believe that you can be successful, your ability and motivation will go forward and performance follows. If you have low self-efficacy, you don't believe you can be successful at it, you don't even bother. It closes off the performance function. So how can it be increased? And this is the reason why I love self-efficacy, is this is definitely something that you can increase for yourself, you can increase it for your team, and you can increase it for your individual employees and teammates. The first thing you want to do is create mastery experiences. And of course, this is a very academic kind of term. What does this mean? It means creating small wins. And so many times when we're given a project, we look at it and we go, oh my God, this is so big, I can't do it. But if you can help that employee or teammate break it down into smaller parts, they start creating these small wins and they complete it. Oh, I did that. I was able to do that. Great. And then they do the next one and the next one and the next one. And it starts creating this momentum of success. So think about the piano experience I gave you before. I don't know how to play the piano. Let's say the song that you want me to learn how to play has the chords E, A, and D. Well, I don't know how to play those on a piano. And so I'm like, I can't learn how to play this song. But what if you said, let's break it down a little bit. Let's just have you practice learning how to play the E note on a piano for the next couple of days. Then let's have you figure out how to play the A note for a couple of days. And then the D note. And so you start breaking these down in these small little experiences. And I'm like, hey, I can play the E chord, no problem. I can play the A note, no problem. I can play the D, yes. Now we can start putting it together. So maybe I learn maybe one line of the song. I start feeling, hey, I can do this. And then I learn the next line. And pretty soon I have the whole song down. So breaking it down into these small wins can make a big, big experience, make you feel successful and give you that confidence. You also have to have feedback. Again, the job itself can do it, or you have to do it. And so if they're performing at a high level, you need to let them know that. If they're making mistakes, you need to do it. So if you've ever learned a musical instrument and you have a person coaching you on this or a teacher teaching you this, they'll say, your fingers are a little bit off on the piano. You need to do it this way, or you need to use the pedal for this, or whatever the case may be. They're correcting our action, or they're praising us with their feedback saying, yes, this is exactly, you're doing it the right way. Modeling. Modeling is simply having someone, an influential person, showing the person how to do it. It could be you as the supervisor. It could be you as the teammate. It could be someone else who is successful at this project or whatever it is, showing them how to do it. So many times when you're learning a musical instrument, the teacher will actually show you how to play the note. They're modeling that behavior. And then we say, hey, they're doing it. We can do it as well. And then finally, the simplest thing you can do is social persuasion. This is simply, I believe in you. I know you can do this. You're giving them that encouragement. And all four of these have been shown to increase self-efficacy. And why it's so important is because this is malleable, this is changeable. We can change someone's self-efficacy. If you have a team member or an employee who's like, I can't do this, I don't know what to do, I don't know, you can change it. And you can create this positive self-efficacy spiral where success breeds more success. What you never want to have is someone who has no self-efficacy. They fail. Oh, I can't do it. I just failed. I try again. I can't fail. I failed. I did it again. You don't want that because it creates this negative self-efficacy spiral. We want a positive one instead. And again, this can be done for you. If you're struggling in an area, you can create these for yourself and start building your self-confidence in a specific task. You can do it for your teammates or your employees, or you can do it for an entire team. There is a thing called team efficacy. And it's done the same way. And I remember years ago I was teaching this class at a previous institution. I was teaching a motivation class. And I had someone in there who was a baseball coach of little kids. And they said, this would never work for that. And I said, oh, really? Let's think about that for a second. So what do sports coaches do? Again, whether it's baseball, soccer, whatever it is, tennis, they start by breaking down the task into these mastery experiences, these small experiences. So they do the drills. If you're a baseball coach, what do? You hit ground balls to the person so they start learning how to field a ground ball, how to catch a fly ball, what base to throw it to, how to steal a base. You start breaking these small experiences down, And because of that, they start getting these small wins. Hey, look I caught the fly ball. Hey, look I caught the ground ball and I threw it to the right base. If you're talking about soccer, they learn how to dribble the ball, how to defend. They start breaking it down. Then you have feedback. You think about what coaches do with individuals or teams. They're saying, yes, that's the right way to do it. Good job, good job. Or they say, no, you threw the ball to second base. In this particular case, you have to throw it to first base. Or you have to hit the cutoff person when you're throwing the ball in from the outfield. So they're providing corrective feedback if necessary. Modeling. They provide modeling for how to do it. Maybe they get out there and they show you how to get down on the ground ball to catch it, get the body in front of it. Maybe they show you throwing the ball to first base. Maybe they have someone who's maybe really good on the team demonstrate how to do something. So they say, hey, watch how this person does it. And they hit the ball to them and the person fields it correctly and throws it to first base or wherever they're trying to go. My daughter has been a swimmer her whole life. And I remember when she was a really little kid swimming, and they were learning these kind of more difficult strokes like the butterfly or the breaststroke. There were some kids in the class that could do it. And what the coaches would do is they would say, okay, everyone get out of the pool for a second and watch this person do the breaststroke. Watch how they do their arms. Watch how they do their legs. And that modeling gives the people that were watching them confidence. Hey, this person can do it. I can do it myself. And then finally, social persuasion. The simple, hey, you can do it. This is what all coaches do. I believe in you. You guys are going to be successful. I know you can do it. So this works at the individual level and it works at the team level. And it's one of the strongest things you can do to increase someone's motivation. Because if we believe in ourselves and our task-specific confidence, we are going to give more effort and we're going to persist at a much higher level. And so we're going to be much more motivated and hopefully that leads to more performance. So in part 2, what we'll do is continue talking about these different approaches and we'll start with goal setting theory.